Good afternoon, good evening, good wherever you are.
Good
I'm Grimnug, and that is,
friend.
and we're that Aussie couple here to talk to you about another week of random news and articles we found, just to discuss here and there now and again,
Because it never gets old.
and it never stops. Today we start again with our friends in Japan, the Asahi Shimbun. Children of toxic parents can outsource elder care and funerals. This is probably one of those articles that starts off being a bigger and bigger deal in Japan with their aging culture and stuff like that. With
Well,
aging
yeah, because
population.
none of them are having babies.
A rising number of people who are abused by their parents as children are now struggling to care for them in their old age and hiring third parties to organize their nursing care and even funerals. How's that any different than what goes on in America and Australia?
Maybe it's because the Japanese just thought they'd say something about it.
Hmm. Life Medical Nursing, LMN, a Tokyo based General Incorporated association, is one such service. It was founded in 2016 to support elderly people without living relatives. However, in recent years, around 80% of LMN's clients don't want to take care of parents they have incredibly toxic relationships with or are trying to cut ties with entirely. A toxic trap. My parents were people who crushed the dreams and lives of their children, a 50-year-old Tokyo woman said frankly. 50-year-old. She signed a contract with LMN a year and a half ago because she didn't want to be a guarantor for her father. Although she has excelled academically, the woman's parents would not allow her to pursue further education after high school, instead telling her to get a job. She started working when she was 18 and wanted to leave home as soon as possible. However, it proved to be financially difficult and her relationship with her parents became further strained. When she was 32, her mother suffered a stroke. And realizing that she could become trapped by caregiving for the rest of her life, the woman left home before her mother was released from the rehabilitation hospital. Wow. Her younger sister, who was in her 20s at the time, became her mother's caregiver. When her sister hinted that she wanted to marry, their mother yelled at her for thinking of abandoning her. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, you're giving me a weird look there.
While the woman gave advice to her sister, she severed all contact with her parents and never returned home. After their mother died 5 years ago, their father, who was then living alone, was admitted to a nursing home. Her sister refused to be the father's guarantor because of work commitments, so the woman took up the role. However, she grew sick of handling procedures and paperwork for a man she detested. Searching the internet for toxic parents caregiving, she learned about LMN. I feel greatly relieved that I didn't need to take it all on myself. I had a place I could ask for advice, she said. Her father passed away in January of this year. Geez, that was a dark introductory story for today.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We all have parents,
Yes, some good, some bad.
yes.
I could quite easily draw correlations with that with my own upbringing.
Yeah. I'm wondering where it's because it's probably has something to do with the Japanese culture of families and
Yeah,
your
they're raised to, you know,
respect their elders and
respect their
maintain the
elders
family.
and work and, take care of their elders. It's how it's been done for generations.
Well, let's see what they're talking about. LMN offers consultations for victims of toxic parents on its website and receives between 60 and 100 inquiries a month, according to the head director Hideko Endo, 57. Once contracted, LMN supports the parents' daily needs with tasks such as caregiving, shopping, and cleaning. The organization also provides its numbers as an emergency contact, responds to calls from hospitals, and even organizes funerals and intermittent interment of ashes. Holy crap, they become the primary contacts of these people. LMN charges an initial fee of 550,000 yen, or $3,700 American, which covers the registration fee, consulting service, and other expenses. Clients also pay 13,500 yen each time they use its services, which in Australian that's about $135.
So,
On average, clients contract the service for 2 or 3 years and often pay around 1 million yen in total. So 100,000, $10,000 total a year.
again, it's not a lot compared to what it could cost.
Why are they willing to pay these hefty fees to provide end of life care for parents they don't want anything to do with? Endo cites two reasons. One is that the clients may still have feelings for their parents even though their relationships are irreparably damaged. The other is that clients may be afraid of what their parents will do if ignored. But according to Endo, most of the parents, even those who have extremely toxic relationships with their children, are rational people. Generally, the head director tells the parents that LMN is providing services on behalf of their children. Most will accept the intervention of a third party, despite wondering why their children refuse to see them. The parents are also aware that they are being shunned, Endo said. As I get to know how they feel about each other, I can see how painful it must be for both of them. A fraught personal experience. Endo started this business because of his troubled journey caring for his own parents. Isn't that how like most businesses start? Is like you get involved accidentally in some way, shape, or form, and then you decide you can do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. After taking care of his mother until her death about 20 years ago, he had disagreements with his father and cut off contact with him. He always had mixed feelings about his father, and the two didn't get along well. But when his father was diagnosed with terminal cancer, Endo had no choice but to become his father's sole caretaker, and he tended to his father's every need, from changing his diapers to cleaning his dentures. His father often hurled venomous abuse while delirious from morphine, to which Endo
Okay.
says he shouted back, "Go die!" more than once.
That sounds so familiar.
Looking back now, I know he was just helpless and wanted attention from his caretaker, Endo recalled, but at the time, I was angry and hurt. Endo later founded LMN, thinking that it would make caregivers feel better if there was someone to tell them that their charges meant no harm. Still, he never expected such a high demand from people struggling with their own parents. Well, it's one of those things like even if you become a parent yourself, you're never ready to take care of the person who took care of you. You know?
It takes on a mental health toll to the carer as well.
Yeah. I mean that's why there's whole
They've got to have their own life to live as well as taking care of their elderly parent
and possibly their own
and
kids.
the stress, everything, because you're basically on call 24/7, really, one way or another.
Many of the requests that LMN receives are from people in their 40s and 50s with baby boomer parents. Previously, around 80% of the requests came from women, but requests from men have increased sharply in the past 6 months and now make half of the total. The clients have various reasons for wanting to distance themselves from their parents, the most common being educational abuse. That sounds like a very Japanese thing. Endo said that in many cases the children experience intense educational pressure, excessive discipline, verbal abuse, or other hardships that drove them away from their families. Many clients don't return calls or emails from their parents and even reveal their addresses. However, the parents often still expect their children to take care of them as they age. Instead, the clients ask LMN to step in. This is a kind of business that shouldn't exist, but the social background and environment have changed dramatically over the last 10 years, Endo said. Now I think it's okay to get help from third parties if you're having a hard time. It's going to be, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. It's one of those things where it's like a lot of people could just dump their parents, in this case, on these third parties and just go, I paid for it. I don't have to do
Well,
anything
that
else.
happens here.
I know.
But that's why the nursing homes are always so full of elderly people.
Hmm. That haven't seen their kids in years.
Yeah, I mean, you remember when we were trying to put my mom into a nursing home, and how many nursing homes did we have to ring around because they were full?
Yeah. Well, it's a sad commentary on our world.
Yeah,
But the other way of like the traditional way is like, no, you live with your parents until they're dead.
yeah,
Like they're in the same. You're all in the same house. It's a multi generational house. And with the current economy, I have a feeling that's where we're going to go back to,
maybe.
possibly.
I don't know.
Or we can be like the Inuit and just shove them out on an
I
ice
think
floe.
people would just rather sometimes suffer and go without than have, their parents living in the same house as them.
They'd rather spend the money on a third party than to just put up with their family together in the same
Yes.
house.
I'm not saying all families are like that, but there would be some families that.
Or it just comes to a point where you can't take it no more and you decide to get out of it.
Well, you probably wouldn't have the house room either.
Yeah. Especially nowadays, again.
Yeah.
Most people are
You'd have to
renting,
build a granny flat in the back.
which are, again, becoming very common. Okay, jumping back over to Australia, our next article. Drop in veg consumption driving farmers out of business and harming health. So this one's here from, I believe this was here in, it's MSN article. Okay. But provided by ABC News Australia. So one of those fun things.
Hmm.
Are you eating enough vegetables? You are in the minority if you are, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. The Bureau's National Health Survey says only 6.5% of Australians are eating their daily recommended dosage of 5 serves per day, with most eating fewer than 2 serves and ultra processed foods taking up more of our diets. We're becoming more American in our food eating.
Well, vegetables are expensive.
Dietitian and nutritionist Gemma O'Hanlon is worried that our busy lifestyles are contributing to preventable diseases, mostly due to what we are eating. Many of us are choosing too many unhealthy foods in our daily diets, and it's really not the individual's fault, she said. We're exposed to these unhealthy foods wherever we go, at the supermarkets, the petrol station, convenience store, even school canteens have a lot of unhealthy foods in there. Overweight and obesity, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and many cancers are also linked to poor diets, so this is a really serious problem. Yes, it is. Bad food habits are affecting farmers. This is an interesting turn on the story. The downward trend in vegetable consumption also affects the people who grow it, with many already doing it tough due to the economic conditions and other industrial process pressures. A recent study by peak horticultural industry body Ozveg, there's a horticultural industry body, okay,
Of
Ozveg,
course
found
there
that
is.
more than a third of growers are considering leaving the industry in the next 12 months, citing cost increase for fuel, electricity, labor costs, and fertilizers, poor retail pricing,
Read.
poor retail pricing, and regulatory burdens. Catherine Valicia, a third generation vegetable grower in Werribee, I did say Werribee, right?
Yes.
On the western outskirts of Melbourne. Yes, Melbourne, not Melbourne, American.
Melbourne.
It's Melbourne.
Melbourne. Australia's problem child.
Melbourne. Said, although the situation was grim, improved vegetable consumption would help her industry. If consumption doesn't increase and it's falling, we're all looking at our businesses saying we're growing produce that people don't really want. And with cost of inputs going up, where do we sit in this market? She said. And what's really sad is that we're talking about food that is necessary for human health, but people are avoiding it and buying things that are really toxic for them. Miss Vaisha and has said consumer behavior has changed. That's obviously filtered down dramatically to us as producers, she said. But the biggest issue is our costs of inputs have gone up dramatically, much more than my grandfather used to pay, and those costs of the products we're selling haven't moved all at the same rate. So the discrepancy is putting a lot of pressure on our business. Stay,
It's everything.
yeah,
It's everything. People are working long hours, and the last thing they want to do when they get home is spend time making a healthy dinner because they all have to get to bed or what have you.
hmm.
So it's like just throw something quick
Well, I mean,
and don't
even
worry about the nutritional values.
well, even for vegetables, I mean, we have canned and frozen vegetables, which don't take that long to make.
Oh, canned veggies, ew.
Well, canned corn,
Canned
canned
corn and
peas,
peas would be probably the only thing that I would eat. And beans,
beans, lots of beans, really
yes.
beans.
But I prefer everything else fresh.
Right.
But, you know,
The old you buy it, you put
we
it in in the refrigerator, and then it goes bad before you get
as a
around to it.
household, we do try to have healthy vegetables,
Yeah.
except we have the one picky eater in the family.
He who shall not be named.
Cough, Jet, cough. Um, you know, he's getting there, and hopefully we'll be able to incorporate more vegetables.
And yes, Mom, I am eating more vegetables than I used to. So
Yeah, the
yeah,
boy who eats grapes now and said, I've always liked grapes, when really he hasn't.
exactly. But it's not just farmers' bottom lines being affected by Australians eating less vegetables, it's Australians' bottoms. I mean, Miss O'Hanlon said the economy was also suffering the side effects. The total healthcare spend on risk factors that are potentially avoidable is actually 24 billion, she said. This sort of money could actually be invested by governments in putting towards programs and campaigns that promote our health and well-being. So why aren't we eating enough vegetables? Ms. O'Hanlon said in addition to the busy lives, there was the perception that eating healthy was too expensive. The good news is that vegetables are not expensive. They are, in fact, very affordable. I think it's a bit of a myth and misconception out there, she said. In fact, fresh veggies average on are about 65 cents a serve. Multiple studies have found on average a supermarket shop of foods that meet Australia's dietary guidelines was 7% cheaper than what's in an average person's basket. Healthy diet, healthy economy. Miss O'Hanlon said one of the most effective ways to help the waistline and the wallet was to embrace whole foods and eat more vegetables. People are looking for cheaper options to make sure they can live and cover all of their expenses, she said. The healthiest and most affordable diet is the Mediterranean diet, and it beats the Western diet that a lot of us are eating at the moment. Vegetables are rich in fiber, which nourishes our gut, is essential in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, which protect us and boost our health and well-being. The Mediterranean diet includes eating a variety of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, fish, and seafood, and minimal processed foods and red meat. So the exact opposite of what we eat right now.
Yeah, we don't eat seafood. Red meat, we try and eat it once a week.
Mhm.
We also have another picky eater who doesn't like meat.
Or fish.
Well, the kids aren't a fan of seafood at the moment, but they can try it when they get
I'm
older.
not
It's,
looking at a
that's,
kid right now. I'm just saying.
well, when you grow up being force fed seafood, you grow to not like it much.
We look at our toxic parents article from previously.
Yes.
All we need is for people to eat one more serve, and that could change our health and industry, Miss Velsha said. How do we get people excited about vegetables again? How do we entice them, not just through health, but through enjoyment? We are getting sick, and that's because we're not eating the proper diet, and got growers imploring government to encourage behavior change. And I think that's the weirdest part right there. Imploring government to. The heck does the government have to do with us eating? Are they going to regulate that we all must purchase so much food and vegetables every shop?
Costs.
So they must tax everything that we're not supposed to be eating?
No, stop making things cost so much money, maybe. Both ways, to the consumers as well as the farmers.
Mm. That still won't change people's buying habits.
It might.
You'd have to, again, if you're trying to make
It might.
the cost of vegetables cheaper
Because
than
people
everything
might
else.
go and spend that extra money they have on something totally junky like chocolate cake or cigarettes or
Yeah, it's like, I've got an extra
alcohol.
$5 in my grocery stuff. Woohoo! Well, thanks to savings, what should I buy? Let's buy some carrots. Said no one ever.
Let's buy some Brussels sprouts.
I mean, it's an age-old problem. Well, not even age-old. It's only old for modern times. In the 20s, they didn't have this question because, hey, you needed food to eat. Here's some vegetables because you can grow them in your own yard.
Yeah.
It's only with our modern grocery store, high mobility lives that it's like, hey, look, food. You need to think about it instead of just what's local. That's what you eat.
Speaking of, I still feel like I still need to eat some more pumpkin.
I've had more pumpkin in this country than I have
I like pumpkin.
in the rest of my
The
life.
butternut pumpkin, because it's nice and sweet. I don't like yellow pumpkin that much. Anyway.
Let's get on to some more fun news. This is an interesting one I heard recently. The Naked Gun trailer.
I've got
Liam
a particular
Neeson
set of skills.
reboots the franchise, slaughter bad guys, and mocks O.J. Simpson. So, what I heard of the trailer, it sounds like they're actually going in very much like the original police story style of Naked Gun silliness, including the raunchy bits. So, let's see what Variety went
I
to
don't
the
think
source.
I've ever watched The Naked Gun.
Well, you're not much of a goofball humor person.
No, I'm not.
So
I do have a weird sense of humor, but it doesn't lean that way.
Well, did you like the Pink Panther movies?
Not really.
Okay.
I didn't find them funny.
Then I don't think you'd find the Naked Gun series funny either.
Yeah.
Because it's very much, hey, look, let's take a cop show and then goof it off and tell really biting jokes in a lot of ways, but also goofball jokes. An official trailer for the Naked Gun reboot is here and brings with it a special set of skills. At least everybody made that joke. Absurdist comedy, glossy action aesthetics, Liam Neeson in polka dot briefs and schoolgirl uniform.
Neeson, not Nielsen.
Did I say Nielsen?
Yes.
Liam Neeson in polka dot briefs and a schoolgirl uniform, and naturally, an O.J. Simpson joke. Neeson, I keep saying Nielsen.
Yes,
There's
because
no
that's
L.
the original Naked Gun dude.
Like, I know that. Neeson stars as Frank Durbin Jr., the son of the legendary goofball cop and franchise father, Leslie Nielsen.
There you go.
In a brief clip shared online at CinemaCon, the annual convention of movie theater owners, Neeson brings Nielsen's brand of crime fighting to a new generation of audiences. My brain, if I said that at speed, would be bad.
And even going to saying their first names isn't going to help. Because you got Leslie and you got Liam and Leslie,
Yep.
so it doesn't help.
In the midst of a tense heist where police officers are attempting to seize bank robbers, we see a little girl with an oversized lollipop casually walk through the standoff. "What do you want, little one?" asks a bad guy toting a machine gun. "Your ass," says the child before ripping off a face mask to reveal Neeson. The lollipop stick becomes a deadly shiv as Neeson rips them apart. Akiva Schaffer, one of the masterminds behind digital and film comedy troupe The Lonely Island, takes digital director's chair. Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane and Erica Hughes produced. Okay, so we've got some comedy people involved. Paramount's original Naked Gun trilogy starred Nielsen as Frank Drebin A good-hearted yet gullible detective at the center of a police procedural comedy. Parody. The 1988 movie The Naked Gun from the Files of a Police Squad was a critical and commercial smash, earning positive reviews and $140 million at the box office to match. And I think that's going to be key to the success of this movie. These movies were goofball, cheap movies to make. If this movie costs like hundreds of millions to make, you're not going to make any money on it.
No,
Because I want to see it. Don't get me wrong, I want to go see it, but it's one of those things.
you're on your own, bud.
I know I am, and that's the thing. There's going to be one ticket sold from this household for it. None of the kids are going to go watch it.
Oh no,
You know,
they're not going to get it.
given the popularity of the studio Shepherd 2 sequels in 1991's The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, and 1994's Naked Gun 33 and a Third, The Final Insult, which I
Why?
did like.
Why do you have to talk like that?
Like what? The third, 33 and a third.
Why do you have to talk like that?
That's my movie reading.
No, talk like a normal human being.
That is a normal human
No,
being.
it's not.
It is.
No, it's
I'm
not.
a normal human being. Okay, I can't even say
You're
I'm a normal
abnormal human
I can't even
being.
say I'm a normal human being. But Paramount has been attempting to return to the series since 2013. It was first being rebooted with Ed Helms as Frank Dermott. Who's Ed Helms?
I don't know.
But that version eventually fell apart. In early 2021, McFarlane announced he had been hired to retool the film, exact plot details as well as the production timeline. The film will hit theaters nationwide on August 1st. And they have the teaser trailer here, which I won't show.
Why did I say heat?
Heat. Why would it hit instead of hit theaters?
Yeah.
Heat. Probably could either they're trying to make another police joke. No, but probably either making the police joke because like the heat of the night and all the other police things use heat in them, or they're just trying to say, hey, we're going to sizzle up the theaters, blah blah blah, whatever. It's variety. They always write in weird language like that.
Or it's a typo.
I doubt you misspelled hit so badly that it replaced it with heat.
Well, considering that E and A are on opposite sides of the keyboard of I.
Also, it's a 4-letter word versus a 3-letter word, but I've seen spell check do stupider things. Okay, last one, another movie one. This one, Freeman brought it up to me this morning. I was like, oh my god, I had to watch this. Go back to the grid in Tron, Ares. It's more of a standalone reboot rather than direct sequel to 2010's Tron Legacy. Which, good thing, bad thing? Because I don't know how many people even watch Tron Legacy.
I think I watched it.
I know I got Jet to watch some of the music video because he likes Daft Punk, but I don't think he ever watched the movie.
I'll watch this one if only for the special effects.
It's difficult to underestimate the massive influence of Disney's 1982 cult science fiction film. Holy crap, I'm old.
You're old.
1982? I remember when Tron was part of Disneyland. It was actually on the People Mover.
I was 10 years old when that movie came out.
I know, I was 4 when it came out, but it was huge to me in the 80s because it's like we watched it on VHS. I think it was part of Disneyland, which I went to multiple times.
I don't think I ever watched it up until you.
You never actually watched Tron? You just saw, like, the
Ads
artwork?
for it, yeah.
Right. Did you ever watch the original Tron?
No.
With Bruce Boxleitner? Greetings program?
No.
No?
Don't think so.
All right. It was computer graphics for the 80s. It kind of brought about...
Well, back then I didn't have the standards for graphics that I do now.
True.
So I probably just didn't catch my eye.
Well, yeah. Nowadays, it totally looks like what it is. A bunch of guys running around in black suits. And and very early CG. But it was awesome for its time period. And the 2010 Tron was actually pretty cool CG-wise as well. It had a de-aged Bruce Boxleitner in it, which was weird. But,
well, that they named it Ares makes sense with the color red.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the god of war.
Well, red was always the MCP's computer colors. It was always the bad guy colors. They literally went totally blue for the good guys, red for the bad guys, as video game style.
Could have gone pink for the good guys.
Could have.
Or purple.
It was a cult science fiction film. Tron had on the film industry, thanks to combining live action with what were then groundbreaking visual effects, rife with computer-generated imagery, and on nerd culture at large. Over the ensuing decade, there has been one sequel, an animated TV series, a comic book miniseries, video games, I've played at least one of which, and theme park attractions, which I daily mentioned, also model on director Steve Lansberg's original fictional world. Now we're getting a third installment in the film franchise Tron Ares, directed by Joachim Ronin from Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. That serves as a standalone sequel to 2010's Tron Legacy. Disney just released the first trailer and poster art, and while the footage is short on plot, it's got the show-stopping visuals we've come to expect from all things Tron. Which, again, I think is what matters. Spoilers for the ending of Tron Legacy below, which it was a 2010 film, so if you didn't watch it, okay. Tron Legacy ended with Sam Flynn, Garrett Hudlin, son of Kevin Flynn, Jeff Bridges, from the original film, preventing the digital world from bleeding into the real world as planned by the grid's malevolent running program Clue. He brought with him Quora, Olivia Wilde, a naturally occurring isomorphic algorithm targeted for extinction by Clue. Disney greenlit a third film in the franchise in October 2010, intended to pick up where Legacy left off and follow the adventures of Sam and Quora as Sam took full control of his father's company, Encom. But by 2015, the studio had canceled the project, alleging the result of a dismal box office showing for Tomorrowland. By 2020, the project had been revived and reimagined as a standalone reboot rather than a legacy sequel, although the main AI, Ares, did appear in earlier, pre-reboot versions of the script. One pandemic and a couple of Hollywood strikes later, the finished film is finally set to hit theaters this fall, which I kind of see the idea of a standalone reboot. Like, it's like, hey, look, most people know Tron like you do, where it's just like it's pretty colors on the screen. We remember it kind of as an 80s thingy that happened, but don't remember anything about the storyline.
It's not pretty colors on screen for me. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I just like the motorcycles or whatever they're called,
Yes.
and making the colorful grid lines
Yes.
and
The light cycle stuff.
the
Yes.
wall lines
Yes.
thing.
Yes. It was a very much a visual motif. Very much so.
And I'm a huge science fiction nerd, so okay, nerd in my world,
There you go. Okay.
not in yours.
That was me giving her the eye.
Fine, we all know that the king nerd here is you.
We don't nerd shame in this family because all nerds are good. It doesn't matter what level of nerd you are because there are no levels. We're all just different nerds.
Right.
The official premise is quite succinct. Tron Ares follows a highly sophisticated program, Ares, who is sent from the digital world into the real world on a dangerous mission, marking humankind's first encounter with AI beings. Jared Leto stars as Ares, with Evan Peters and Greta Lee playing Julian Dillinger and Eve Kim, respectively. The cast also includes Jodie Turner-Smith, Cameron Monaghan.
I don't think I've ever watched the movie with Jared Leto in it, but he's got that crazy look. So
Is that him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he the good guy or the bad guy in the movie?
He's Ares.
Oh, that would explain why they hired him to do it, because he would act like a really good crazy guy.
He's a good bad guy. Yeah, Jared Leto stars as Ares. Yeah. Sarah Desjardins.
Where?
Desjardins. Hassan Minhaj, Arturo Castro, and Gillian Anderson. Gillian Anderson. In a
Scully.
Yeah, I know who she is. I do recognize occasionally. I do get a name get through and stays in here.
Just making sure.
In as yet undisclosed roles, Bridges is returning as Kevin Flynn.
Is he still alive? Jesus.
Yeah, he's still alive. Nine Inch Nails composed the soundtrack, which I thought was interesting because it's just like when they did Daft Punk announced for 2010. They were like, oh, and soundtrack by Daft Punk. And you're just like,
who?
I know who Daft Punk is, thank you very much. But I'm saying,
I only know who Daft Punk is because of our son. But
yeah. But I just find it weird that they actually say, oh, by the way, 9 Inch Nails did it. I'm like, 9 Inch Nails?
Not 7-inch or 10-inch. 9.
You're not into metal or hard rock, so I can see why you don't.
No, there's only like 2 hard rock songs that I like, and that's from Metallica. That's Enter Sandman and what's the other one that they have? Whatever other song that they have.
Tron Ares hits theaters October 10th, 2025. They're going to be 10/10, so it's a good date. No going back. Tron Ares. You know what? I think that's a proper movie poster right there, where it's just like, you know what? You've got a tagline, you've got the title, and one good picture.
Can I have that bike?
Yes, definitely. Light cycles make cool.
But purple lights instead?
Of course. That's the point of having lights, is you can change the color as you go along, and you leave a purple line behind as you drive. I did like that scene in the trailer where he cuts the cop car in half with the light.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yay! So it's going to be cool. I think I don't care right now. As of right now, the trailer has done what it's supposed to. It's made me hyped. Makes me want to see it. It's simple. I don't
And
care.
tomorrow we'll forget about it, and
Yeah, yeah,
come October we'll go, oh yeah.
yeah. That Tron's out now. Cool. We'll go. Maybe we'll go see it. Maybe I'll go see it.
Yeah, you guys say it because I don't go to theaters anymore.
Do you guys go to theaters anymore? Because I think that's going along for a lot of people. They don't want to go see things in
Well,
theaters anymore.
apparently from the fact that it's overpriced
It's always been
and
overpriced.
the chairs just aren't comfortable anymore,
They've always been like that.
so you can't really sink in and enjoy a movie,
I don't know.
and you got to deal with people. You know, the coughing, the laughing, some idiot talking loudly.
As the idiot who talks loudly, I often do enjoy the audience participation reaction in a live theater setting like that.
No.
I do. Because it's like, hey, look, I'm not the only one who thought that was funny. I'm not the only one who thought that was stupid. You know?
Well, that's why you're the extrovert.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I go to. I used to work in a theater. That's another reason why I like movie theaters because I know what goes into it.
I always used to want to work in a theater when I was younger, but now not so much.
And well, we're not younger anymore.
Nor do I like people.
Not liking people is kind of a big key thing in working in a customer facing job. So,
I've had my fill of people.
well, you've now had our fill of us. I hope not too much bad filling, but
And I do apologize if this podcast has gone just a little bit over what our usual weekly one is.
we're at 31 minutes. It's not that bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It goes fine when you're having fun. It's not feels like a bad slow
Amazing.
time.
You mustn't have talked that much.
Ha ha! I spoke a lot. That's the other thing you might have noticed. Hopefully, we're less echoey because we're running on one microphone. We're doing a shared microphone this time. So hopefully this works.
Yeah,
Let us know in the
You
comments.
can't hog the microphone all to yourself.
Mwahaha. No, I think what was happening is I was being detected by both microphones because I'm so loud.
Yes, you're like boombox,
Boom.
auditorium, stadium,
I don't need.
loud.
I was trained for theater and art stuff
Bitch,
to be loud enough without a
you
speaker
always
microphone.
give yourself these airs of
That's it, not
I was
airs. That's just
trained.
proper training. That's if you were in choir, if you were in band and stuff like that, you were trained to project, and that's how I've always been.
No,
So I can do
it's
talk
the
without.
extrovert in you.
No, it's not the extrovert
That you
in
want to
me.
be like heard.
Ha! Oh, naturally have a good projection and a loud voice because of this huge barrel chest of mine.
Thankfully, the kids take a bit after me.
Except for a jet has the same body as me and could be the exact same way of projection
Poor
if he
kid.
wants to.
Anyway,
Enough of us ranting here at the end. We hope you guys had fun. We had fun recording for you. And we tried to do this live streaming live, but I've screwed things up. And I have to go back to basics and figure out how to do it. So until
maybe
next week.
week.
Yeah, maybe next week. We'll try again. Keep an eye out on all our socials. We hope to see you next time. Please leave a like and subscribe. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.